All right, so today we're diving deep into the life of someone you've probably heard of, maybe you even have some strong opinions about, Mr. Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely a figure who sparks conversation.
And we're going to use this YouTube video to guide our deep dive today. It's called The Story of Elon Musk from the channel Sunny V2.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, and his story is one of those classic kind of like rags to riches, but then almost bankrupt, then shoots for Mars.
Yeah, just a little bit of everything.
It's a whole lot going on, so buckle up. What strikes you about Elon Musk's story? Like when you think about this guy, what comes to mind?
Well, I think the first thing is just the sheer ambition of the guy. Like you said, rags to riches, but it's not just about the money. It's like this relentless drive to push boundaries,
Yeah, it's almost like pure willpower kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And it seems like that drive was like shaped really early on. The video talks about his childhood in South Africa. Not exactly a walk in the park, right? He faced bullying, had a really tough family situation.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a very difficult childhood.
But even with all that going on, he was already showing signs of being incredibly bright, like even as a little kid.
Well, you see it in the stories they tell about him, reasoning with his mom at 3 years old.
Yeah.
Coding by 10, selling his first game at 12.
I mean, that's not your average kid, right? It points to like a mind that's just wired for curiosity and problem solving. Maybe all those early challenges actually like hone those skills even further.
That's a good point. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How much of our path is actually set by those first few years of life?
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of paths, Elon's eventually led him to Silicon Valley in 1995. But he wasn't heading there to be like the next Steve Jobs or anything. He was initially just looking for a regular tech job.
Yeah, he was just like trying to get his foot in the door.
Yeah. But of course, that's not how it played out. Instead of joining the dot-com boom, he ends up creating a part of it, founding his own company called Zip2.
Which, for those who don't know, provided online city guide software to newspapers, something they were like desperately trying to figure out back then.
And it was a classic startup grind, right? Sleeping on the office couch, showering at the YMCA, that whole image we have of the early internet entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all that hustle, it paid off big time. Because eventually, Compaq comes along and buys Zip2 for, get this, $305 million.
Talk about a success story.
I know, right? But it's not just the money, it's what it represents. It shows this real knack that Elon has for like spotting market needs and then building the solutions that people are actually looking for.
And he was doing all of this back when the internet was still like figuring itself out, taking risks, hustling, not afraid to get his hands dirty. It's honestly a great lesson for like any entrepreneur out there, especially those just starting out. You gotta be willing to put in the work.
And speaking of getting started, for any of you out there who are, building your dream, companies like DreamSoft Technologies Canada can be a total game changer.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
They help new businesses with all things digital marketing, which is so crucial these days. We're talking logo design, website building, social media management, the whole 9 yards.
They even handle all those like tricky Google, TikTok, and Facebook ads, which, let's be honest, can be a nightmare if you're not a marketing expert.
Exactly. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed or just need that extra boost, definitely check out DreamSoft Technologies Canada. Visit our website. But now back to Elon and his crazy journey. So he's got this huge win with Zip2, but did that slow him down? Not a chance.
No, not even close. He dives right into his next venture, X.com.
Which later morphed into, you guessed it, PayPal.
Yeah, the one we all know and probably use all the time now.
Right, but back then, online payments were a whole different beast. And Elon saw there. He saw this gap in the financial world, a sector just ripe for, disruption. He wanted to make online money transfers simple and safe, something that seems so obvious now.
I mean, it's easy to forget how revolutionary that was at the time.
Totally. And what's really impressive is how he used his experience from Zip2 to really fuel PayPal's growth.
He wasn't just sticking to traditional marketing. He created this whole viral strategy where, users were actually rewarded for bringing in their friends.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's common practice now, but back then it was totally groundbreaking. He was basically turning his early success into even faster growth, which is amazing to see. But of course, there were some bumps in the road.
There always are. What happened?
Get this, Elon was actually pushed out as CEO of PayPal. Imagine being forced out of your own company. That's gotta sting.
Wow, talk about a power struggle.
Right. But even that didn't derail him. Later on, eBay buys PayPal for a whopping $1.5 billion.
Another huge win.
Exactly. And Elon walked away with a big chunk of that, solidifying his place as a major player in the tech world.
Talk about resilience, right? He bounces back from these major setbacks and just keeps achieving bigger and bigger things. It's kind of inspiring in a way. It's like a reminder that even if you hit a wall, don't give up. You never know what's around the corner. And speaking of exciting things around the corner, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We've got more deep dives coming your way, exploring the journeys of other amazing entrepreneurs. But for now, we're going to stick with Elon. And things are about to get even wilder as we head into Tesla and SpaceX territory.
Yeah, get ready for electric cars and space exploration, folks. This is where things get really futuristic.
Always exciting stuff. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out.
Okay, so Tesla. This is where Elon's lifelong passion for electric vehicles really takes center stage. And he didn't actually start the company,
Right.
but he invested heavily back in 2004, eventually becoming chairman and then CEO.
And you see that same combination of ambition and risk-taking that we were talking about earlier. It's just amplified.
Yeah.
Tesla was this tiny company. Electric cars were basically unheard of. And he just goes all in.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting his own money into Tesla when most people thought electric vehicles were a total pipe dream.
It seemed crazy at the time.
Right. But he had this vision, He saw a future where sustainable transportation wasn't just an option. It was like a necessity. But, it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Definitely not. Then, bam.
Yeah.
2008 hits. The financial crisis. Talk about a curveball.
Oh, man.
Tesla is suddenly on the brink of bankruptcy. Elon's going through a divorce. It's like everything's falling apart.
The Sunny V2 video really captures how intense that period was. Elon describes being just days away from going under, giving both Tesla and SpaceX, his other venture, less than a 10% chance of survival.
Wow. Just imagine the pressure.
I know, it's crazy.
But as we know, he pulled through. Not only did Tesla survive, but it became, this global powerhouse that's basically changing the entire auto industry.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
And it goes back to that resilience we talked about. He doesn't just weather the storm. He seems to get stronger because of it.
Right. It's almost like the bigger the challenge, the more determined he becomes. It's pretty amazing to see.
It's a good lesson for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
Not just entrepreneurs, but anyone facing adversity. When things get tough, that's when you really see what you're made of.
Now, speaking of ambitious ventures, we got to talk about SpaceX. This is where his vision goes into overdrive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is where things get really interesting. So SpaceX, founded in 2002, came from Elon's belief that space travel could be cheaper and more accessible. He saw all these inefficiencies in the space industry and decided, I'm going to shake things up. But his ultimate goal is even more audacious, colonizing Mars.
Okay, now that is thinking big. Colonizing Mars. It's straight out of science fiction.
I know, right?
Sounds incredible, but the logistics must be mind-boggling. That's what makes Elon so fascinating, though. He sets these goals that seem impossible and then just goes after them with, everything he's got. And remember, he's not talking about just sending a few astronauts to Mars. He wants to build a self-sustaining civilization there.
Wow, that's a whole other level.
It's a different game.
He's thinking about the next century while most of us are worried about next week.
Right.
He's focused on, making humanity a multiplanetary species. Ensuring our survival in the long run.
It's a level of ambition that's hard to grasp, but it's also, pretty inspiring. He's basically redefining what we think is possible. And you know what? He's already made incredible progress. SpaceX has developed reusable rockets, which has significantly reduced the cost of space travel.
It's amazing how far they've come in such a short time.
Yeah.
So for anyone out there who's interested in space exploration, the future of technology, all that cool stuff, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We'll be diving into all these topics in future episodes. But for now, let's not forget the other side of Elon, the side that makes headlines for his, let's say, unconventional behavior.
Ah, yes.
The expensive car crashes, the Twitter controversies, the jokes about Dogecoin. It's all part of the Elon Musk persona.
Right. You can't really talk about Elon without talking about those things. It's part of what makes him so intriguing. It's is this part of his genius or just a side effect of his intense focus? It's a good question.
It's a fascinating question. And I think the answer is probably a bit of both.
Probably. He doesn't really seem to care about like fitting in or following expectations. He's just doing his own thing, even if it ruffles some feathers along the way. And maybe that's part of what allows him to think so differently, to challenge the status quo and achieve things others thought were impossible.
Yeah, it makes you think about the nature of innovation, right? And how personality plays into all of that.
Totally. And you know what else makes you think? Trying to build a business from scratch, it's a whole other kind of challenge.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
Especially if you're a new startup or struggling to like break through. Having the right tools and strategies can literally make or break you. And that's where a company like Dreamsoft Technologies Canada can be a real game changer.
Yeah, they're great.
They offer a whole suite of digital marketing services that are like tailored specifically for new businesses. We're talking everything from branding and website development to social media management and those targeted ad campaigns on platforms like Google, TikTok, and Facebook, all that stuff.
It's the kind of stuff that can really take a business to the next level, but can be, really overwhelming to figure out on your own.
Exactly. So if you're looking for that edge, definitely check out their website and see what they can offer.
Absolutely. And now getting back to Elon, I think this Sunny V2 video really does a good job of capturing the highs and lows of his journey. He's clearly a complex and driven individual, and, his story's far from over.
Not even close. What do you think is like the most striking thing we've learned about him so far?
For me, it's that unwavering belief in his own vision. Like he's not just adapting to the future, he's actively trying to shape it. And that's both inspiring and a little bit intimidating, honestly.
Yeah, I get that. It's like he's playing a different game than everyone else, And honestly, the jury's still out on whether he's ultimately a force for good, a disruptor, or maybe a bit of both. I think that's what we love about doing these deep dives, right? It's not just about summarizing information. It's about like exploring these different perspectives and encouraging people to think critically.
Absolutely.
So to the listeners out there, what stands out to you? What's the most striking thing you've learned about Elon today? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments with your take on Elon Musk. Is he a visionary, a reckless gambler, a bit of both? We want to hear from you. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on more fascinating explorations like this one. It really is mind-blowing when you think about the potential impact of his work. Yeah. Both here on Earth and like out there in space.
Yeah, it's huge.
Whether it's changing how we get around with electric vehicles or, literally pushing the boundaries of space exploration.
Right.
Elon Musk is definitely a figure who forces us to confront the future head on.
And what's interesting is how he frames his ventures, especially with SpaceX. It's not just about the technology, it's about human survival. Yeah. Like colonizing Mars isn't just some adventure for him. It's about making sure humanity has a backup plan if something catastrophic happens to Earth.
It's a pretty wild concept when you really think about it, but it does speak to his long-term thinking.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not just worried about the next quarter, he's looking at the next millennium. It makes you wonder, what kind of legacy will he ultimately leave behind?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, the Sunny V2 video leaves us with this open question. Is he a visionary shaping a better future, or is he a reckless gambler taking risks that could backfire?
Yeah.
It's a debate that's probably going to go on for decades to come.
And that's what makes his story so captivating, right?
Yeah.
He's not just some tech CEO. He's like a cultural phenomenon. He sparks these conversations, challenges our assumptions about what's possible. Like he forces us to ask some pretty big questions. What are the limits of human ambition? What does it truly mean to be innovative? And what responsibility do we have to the future of our species?
Those are some heavy questions, man, but they're definitely worth thinking about, especially in a world that's constantly changing faster than ever before. And I think if there's one thing we can learn from Elon Musk, it's that, thinking big, challenging conventions, it can lead to extraordinary results, even if the path to get there is, messy and unpredictable.
Yeah, and remember, if you're feeling inspired to take on your own big challenges, whether it's starting a business or chasing some crazy dream, don't forget about the tools and resources that are out there to help you. Like companies like Dreamsoft Technologies Canada can be a huge asset that can help you navigate the whole digital landscape, build a strong online presence, which is, let's face it, crucial these days.
Oh, for sure. I mean, from designing a killer logo to mastering social media and, all that targeted advertising stuff, they have the expertise to help new ventures really thrive. It's easy to underestimate the power of a solid digital strategy, especially when you're just starting out.
It's true. So head over to their website, check out what they offer, and hey, while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics. We're always exploring new ideas, digging into the stories that are shaping our world.
And we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Elon Musk? Do you see him as a hero, a villain, somewhere in between? Let us know in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the world of Elon Musk. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.